Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ryan in Singapore. Welcome to our mindfulness practice. Today's topic is about silence and using silence in your meditations. It's a topic that I've covered before, but I wanted to bring it up one more time, particularly in light of the previous topic that I've done here on Insight Timer, which was about the question was, can guided meditations cause harm? And I think that was a great learning experience for me as well, um, because this is not a one way communication, right? Is that I get to have feedback and comments from you all, and I think part of what started that topic was someone at Mindful Leader had written an article about how they thought. I think the name of it was like. The name of the article was something like "Shut up and don't and your shut up. Your guided meditations are causing harm." And I thought, wow, that's a really charging way to to address to address this topic, right? And I thought it's a good one for us to talk about. And I think what I discovered as we went through that topic together was that here, especially on the Insight Timer community, I think the opposite of that is true. Is that yes, there is space for people to explore the realm of meditation practice in silence. However, a lot of people are coming to their cushion to do their meditation practice because of the support that these guided meditations offer. And I think it's unfair for, you know, CEOs of mindfulness companies to point their finger at the teaching community and the participant community and the meditator community, and say that these guided meditations are causing harm when they're coming from a perspective of a highly experienced meditator, that a person who's been meditating daily for years, of course, will tend to rely less on guided meditations than a beginner. And I think the Insight Timer community as well. I mean, this is something that we need. We need that extra encouragement. That's one of the great things about this app as well, is that it's tracking daily progress. So that daily progress is helping bring us back to the cushion, to help that daily streak. I've talked about the daily streak before. I mean, it's not all good. There are some downsides to pushing ourselves to keep up a daily streak. But at the end of the day, the daily streak does help to bring people back to the cushion and do this helpful thing that is going to ultimately have a positive benefit and positive impact in our lives. So, our guided meditations causing harm, and especially saying something so charged, I don't think is very beneficial to the community. It is something to examine, though, and it is something that I think over reliance on guided meditations can be a roadblock to growth in our practice. If we feel that we always have to turn to guided meditations to meditate, there is something that we're missing by not exploring the realm of silence. And so that's really what my topic is about today, is what can be gained? What is the benefit of exploring the realm of practicing in silence? I just want to have a look here at the chat. I see that it's active. Gene says, I would pay $60 a year for a timer I could set. I wouldn't pay, excuse me, I wouldn't pay $60 per year for a timer I could set on my phone. And that's another interesting thing is Insight Timer is, that is how it started, right? It started as a timer, and it was completely free, and it's different. It's really different engaging with this app from a paid experience as opposed to the free experience, right? And by the way, if you haven't noticed, I'll just kind of give this plug for Insight Timer as well. Insight Timer was listed on the New York Times as the #1 meditation app for 2025. So finally, Insight Timer is beating out some of the other apps that are out there, and I think deservedly so. Like there's been a lot of work from the staff to make this an excellent app to engage with, extremely accessible. There's a free mode, there's a pay mode. You're getting something different for each of those, and I think we're getting more than just guided meditations for our $60 a year on Insight Timer. Courses here are really beneficial, and that's certainly more than just doing guided meditations. So, and Aline says, I still use the free version and mostly use the timer. I also really like the talks. And I mean, I guess that's the joy of this app, is that you've got both of these modes that you can explore in the free mode and in the pay mode, and I'd say the majority of the users are still free users, and I think it's lovely that Insight Timer can be a way for us, even the community that comes around this live event and that meditates together. Almost everything that I have on Insight Timer is free of charge, and I like it that way, and I feel that that's it's kind of one of my duties as a meditation teacher, is to give back and to make things that are going to be beneficial for other meditators to have a more accessible way to engage in this practice. So I'm just going to move slowly and gently into this talk about silence and what are some of the benefits of silence? So why would we do silent practice? And so the first one, and I'm going to paste these into the chat, is that silence reveals the mind more clearly. And that's one thing that you'll notice, that you can't help but notice when you practice in silence and there's no teacher's voice guiding you, is that you're really alone with your own mind. And I'm always remembered of this quote from Annie Hall, where the main character says, my mind is, it talks about seeing a psychologist, right? My mind is like a dark alley. I don't dare go in there by myself. And so I understand that it can be scary sometimes going in this space of silence, but there is definitely a more intimate knowing of what's going on in our minds when our attention is directed solely on ourselves, and that there is no division of attention, that part of the attention is going to the words of the teacher. In silence, there's nowhere to go, there's nowhere to hide. When we sit in silence, we meet the mind exactly as it is, and you can notice how quickly it is that we want to go to distraction, and we might find ourselves distracted. We might find ourselves trying to entertain ourselves. So there's nowhere to hide, and we can see our minds more clearly. And when we do, we get to know ourselves at a deeper level, and we start to uncover these things that may have been hidden, and we can see this piece of me that maybe needs a little bit more attention. So I think this is a really powerful piece of that practice, And Cece says this, the recorded tracks Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And I think that's kind of the main lesson here is that if recorded tracks are what gets you to doing your daily practice, then by all means, this is what you should be doing. And this lesson is just about that, dipping the toe in the water of trying out silent practice. One other thing that silence helps us with is building inner confidence. And so, MBSR attitude number 4 is trust, right? The 9 attitudes of MBSR, which I'm finishing up writing a course on it because I find these attitudes so powerful and so helpful for our practice. The 4th attitude is trust, and that is one of the pieces that we notice that, excuse me, that we have this innate ability inside of ourselves to trust ourselves, just like we can trust that our body is going to be breathing on its own. Just like we can trust our heart is beating. More than 95% of our bodily processes are done completely automatically. Digestion. There is so much that we can learn about trusting ourselves. And a lot of that comes from trusting the body. And this is no different in that when we begin to transition and explore the realm of silent practice, we can help to build upon that trust in self. Okay, and I'm just glancing back at the chat. And another piece is that silence isn't empty. So my favorite line, I'm going to read this. My favorite line from Annie Hall is, a relationship is like a shark. It must keep moving forward or it will die. Thanks, Gene, for bringing that up. I do like. It's a good movie to quote sometimes. Silence isn't empty; it's full. And that's one thing that you will notice, is that the longer time that you spend in silence, you'll see that it's not absent. We're not being absent. It is, in fact, the exact opposite of that. It is our full presence. So silence isn't the absence of guidance. It's the presence of you in your own direct experience. It's noticing the body, noticing the breath, immersing yourself completely in this moment itself. So, that's going to be our practice today. So we're going to spend a bit more time exploring in this realm of silence. And so what I'll do as we practice today is just leave a few more gaps. So I'll get us going in the meditation today. And then as we get rolling in the meditation, I'm just going to have a few larger gaps. I will kind of cue you to come back to your breath, to come back to this moment, just in case you find silence to be daunting. So if it's not something that you're used to experiencing, you're used to practicing, you might find that there's a different level of challenge here. And I think the encouragement is, you're just sitting, you're just here doing nothing, right? Is it possible to not get frustrated and to, and even if we do get frustrated, our body can sit here. And so is it possible to sit with that frustration if it shows up? Is it possible to sit with whatever experience it is that you're having today? So let's go ahead and get into practice. So I'd just like to encourage you to get comfortable wherever you are. So choose a posture that's going to be supportive for you. And so sometimes I encourage you to try to sit still. So today I just want to emphasize silence over stillness. So if you find yourself wanting to move around, to shift positions while you're meditating today, just go ahead and see if you can notice it. I think that's really the first invitation about stillness, is to see if you can notice that desire to move before you make any adjustments or movements. And then go ahead, be easy on yourself. Just move. Take whatever, do whatever you need to do to sustain yourself in your meditation practice. And so mindfulness practice is about bathing in this moment. It's about really, truly absorbing ourselves in the present and noticing when the mind tries to time travel us to the future or the past. Or we start fantasizing or daydreaming. So I would encourage you to have a posture that is dignified. And as I'm going to talk about next time, our practice, meditation, and the practice of being alive is all interlinked. So your posture has an effect on how focused, what the quality of this meditation is going to be like, is going to be related to your posture, believe it or not. So choose a posture that is going to reflect the way you want to show up for your meditation. And the word that I like to use is dignified. One that reflects the determination you have to stay focused. So it's not one that's extremely rigid, one that's going to cause a cramp in your back, hopefully. Hopefully it's not going to do that. It's relaxed. We're alert, we're awake, we're alive, and relaxed as best we can be. Just take a moment to notice the body. The face. Is there tension in the face? Can you feel it in the eyebrows, in the cheeks, in the jaw? And if you do notice tension, it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. Like, you can meditate perfectly well with lots of tension in your body. The goal here is not relaxation. Relaxation may be a side effect of your meditation, but it's not required to meditate. Just see if you can notice any tension in your body, and as you notice it, through noticing it, maybe it dissolves by itself. So how do the shoulders feel? How does the back feel? How does the belly feel? Can you feel your belly rising and falling with your breath? So many of us can feel the breath in various parts of our bodies. But for me, and I encourage any beginner meditator to notice how the belly moves. One reason is that this can help to encourage relaxation. There may be something comforting about feeling the belly expanding and contracting as we breathe. So maybe there's another place in your body where you find the breath more accessible, more obvious, more readily available to you. By all means, choose that if you have a place, an anchor that you typically go to. But if you don't have one that is your go-to anchor, I'd encourage you to notice how the belly moves when you breathe. Even if the muscles in the abdomen are tight, there still is some movement when you breathe. And if you find yourself having any trouble noticing this movement with breath, you can always place your right hand on your chest, your left hand on your belly, and just use this touch to tune in to that gentle rising and falling of the abdomen as you breathe. So see if you can direct your attention fully to this experience. Attending with a kind of curiosity. Exploring, where does my breath begin and end? Or in fact, are those words even relevant to exploring my breath? For me, each moment feels like transition. The transition from the in-breath to the out-breath is not a hard stop. It's like the in-breath slowly fades and slowly transitions into the out-breath. And then the out-breath, as it's going, moment by moment, what you notice is that no two moments are exactly alike. That the shape of the body, the position of the abdominal wall compared to the spine is in constant flux. So with this magnifying glass of your attention, you can feel each and every moment as if moments in time can be split into finite things. Just observe. Breathing in breathing out. And use this process as best you can to keep the attention fully focused on this breath that's happening here and now. And you may find in these times of silence that the mind begins to wander around. So you can just take a moment during those times to notice what is it that caught your attention. And without further exploring or analyzing or wondering, see if you can just release that thought through that awareness. And then gently return the mind to this exploration of the present moment through observing the breath. You're doing great. Keep it up. Remember, you don't have to sit still. You can shift your body if that's going to be helpful for you today. The encouragement is just to explore what's here in the realm of silence. What can you get to know about yourself? Can you trust yourself in these moments of silence? So what we'll do is we'll have 5 more minutes. So when I finish talking, we'll have 5 minutes of silence. And at the end of the next 5 minutes, I'll give you a gentle verbal warning before I ring the bell 3 times. So just let's see what 5 minutes of being alone with ourselves in silence is like. And remember, the anchor into this present moment is here, is in the body, in the breath. So you can always come back. So we'll start our 5 minutes of silence now. Okay, that is 5 minutes. So I'm going to close our practice with 3 rings of the bell. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here with me today. Thank you for exploring this topic of silence and how'd it go? What happened? What didn't happen? What was the practice like for you? Please feel free to share in the chat, and yeah, we'll kind of chat about what has your experience been like, and I'm going to have a look at the chat now as well. Jean has said the one hand on the chest, the other on the belly is an aid for offering yourself self-compassion. It stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system and sends the message you are safe. And that's something that I hoped, if you did that part of the practice, and if you did that while you were meditating, that you discovered that for yourself. That I think that's the nice thing, is that instead of saying it explicitly, I was wondering if that became obvious implicitly. Like, if you did that, what did that feel like? And even though, I've done that hundreds of times, right? I feel that every single time, right? This is a different feeling than having my hands folded in my lap or on my knees or anywhere else. This feels comforting, and it has a multi-purpose kind of little exercise to do. Is that not only does it help, does the tactile feeling of the body, where the hands are on the belly and the chest, give you additional sensation of the breath. It also gives you that feeling of being held by yourself, and maybe doesn't even matter that it's you that's doing it, or maybe it does matter. Maybe it especially matters that it's you doing it. Because it is a way for you to show a kind of love to yourself without any thought, right? There's no, a lot of times we do self-compassion practice, and it's like, I'm thinking, may I be happy, or, some kind of verbalization of our compassion towards ourselves. And this is a different level of self-compassion. And it does help to kind of bring ease to this moment when we do that, and we really feel the breath and cradle ourselves. So did you, if you did that, did you notice that? Thanks, Aline, for being here. Good night, and I hope to see you again. Thanks, Chris. If you haven't followed me on Insight Timer already, that's really the first and easiest thing, most accessible thing you can do that can help me as a teacher on Insight Timer. So before you go, please follow me if you haven't already. That's, like I say, that is helpful. And I do have a lot of plans to continue not just doing live events, but creating content around these live events, especially with courses, Insight Timer courses coming up, and I'll be improving the quality as best I can of these live events as as the days go on, as this year rolls on. I can't believe it's almost August already. Holy cow. 2025 has been just flying by. If you have just one other piece, if you speaking of self-compassion, I've just posted up here this link to a guided meditation of mine. It's one of the premium tracks. It's a self-compassion track, so it's really focused around self-compassion. So if you haven't tried it, I'd encourage you, give it a shot, add it to your track list. If you're using tracks in your meditations, this is one that can help to foster self-compassion, as self-compassion isn't something that comes naturally. It's something that even if you don't feel like you love yourself, you can train yourself how to do this. Thanks. And last but not least, if you found today's session useful and you have a little bit of spare change, feel free to donate today. So, thanks, Rachel. Rachel says, I quite like the silent portion today. Thanks so much, and thanks for trying it out. It's an interesting it's an interesting thing to try. Thank you, Jean, for your donation. And to see what happens when we give ourselves over to silence. Thanks, Rachel, for your donation. All right, I think that's about it for me today. I appreciate you sticking around and trying out the meditation. The topic that I'm going to be talking about next is about a holistic practice, how we can notice that each part of our lives are related to one another, that not one part of our life it just stands out there by itself. And I think that's something that I wanted to share because, as I always try to do, is to teach out of my own personal experience, what I'm experiencing and how my meditation practice is changing and how my life is changing, what I'm noticing through my own practice. And so one of the things that I've noticed recently is how not taking care of myself in one arena of life actually has an effect on a lot of other arenas of life. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit more and to see if we can, help take care of ourselves in each of the arenas, and see that once we start taking care in one place, other places start to fall in line too. Or when we stop taking care of ourselves in one place, other dominoes start to fall, like a shark. Thank you, CC, for your donation. Thanks, everybody, for being here today. Hope you have a great day or evening going forward. I will be back to talk about this kind of holistic idea of practice next time in about 47 hours from now. So look forward to seeing you. And then thanks for mashing the hearts. I appreciate all the gratitude from all of you. And I appreciate your presence. So do take care. See you again next time. Let us close our practice with a little bit of intentional well wishes to ourselves and others. So repeat after me if you like. May I be happy and peaceful. May everyone watching or listening, wherever you happen to be today, I wish you all happiness and peace. And may all of humanity, everywhere in this world, wherever we are, may we all be happy and peaceful. Thanks, Marianne. Thanks, everyone. If it's your first time joining or you've been here many times, it's been an absolute pleasure hosting you today, and I hope to see you again soon. Until then, bye-bye.